All right, so the last video, when I initially did this video, the audio didn't record for some reason. So I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to be moving a lot quicker because just kind of I'm doing the scripting today, and I'm just going to follow along with what I've already scripted. So I've already figured it out, which is good because there won't be as much, oh, that didn't work type of stuff. Anyways, first I wanted to show off that instead of having you watch me do the rest of the level, I've just gone ahead and completed it. So this is what this level looks like. I added in the background, added in some platforms. So this platform here will be vertical and it'll be going up and down. This one will be going horizontally back forth. I've added in some coins. This and this platform is just static. This here will be, I don't know, maybe a power up or something that the player can collect. And this platform will be going vertically. And they'll need to be on that platform in order to jump up and get that when the platform gets up near it. So these spikes I've added in as well. So if the player falls off, they hit those spikes, they're going to lose life. Same with these spikes down here. They're just smaller set of spikes. And this platform will be going vertically and this one will be going horizontally. So they'll have to come down on this platform and then jump onto this platform to avoid the spikes. And then in here will just be a boss fight. Now what I did, just so you can see for the platforms, let me just make sure I'm on the right layer. Yes, I want the tile objects layer, so I'm on the right layer. So if I click these platforms, I've given them behaviors. So I've got I don't remember if I covered it in the last video, but real quick, they've got the jump through, and then they've got the, yes, I did, and then they've got the sign movement, so that one is vertical, and then just for the horizontal, all I did was change it here from vertical to horizontal, and then I've got it going back and forth. Now there are other ways, like if I want to have a set destination, I have found ways, so I might go in and fix this up a bit to make it a little bit better, and then we'll cover that. But anyways, today I'm gonna show you this real quick, so we'll go in and play. Using the arrow keys, I've made the window size smaller as well, just so that the player can't see as much in advance. And I'm also going to be adding some spikes that will fall down, and if they hit the player, they'll be damaged. So the player can jump up on here, can jump up on here. They'll have to be right at the edge to make that. Jump, they can jump on here and then jump up to grab whatever that is. Come down here, platform comes up. And they'll have to get over onto that platform over here, and boom, boss fight will be down here. So that's what the map looks like. Let's go in and we're going to do the controls today. So we can do groups, and we're going to do 3 controls. There's going to be the arrow keys. There's going to be WASD and Gamepad. We're going to include the Gamepad just as an option for people. So if we right click onto the event sheet here and we do add group, we'll give it a name and we'll just call this controls. All right, so now under the controls, we're going to create another group for each individual control. So the first one that we'll work on are the arrow keys. And we're just going to make that a subgroup here. So if we just click on it and drag it up and then over, see how it's a solid bar? It's not going to do it, but if we come over a bit, it indents it. Now it's going to be part of the controls group. So what I'm going to do is just set up the arrow keys. Now, I mean, it is set up through the platform behavior on the player. It's already set up, but there are some things that I want to set up when they're hitting the left. Mostly it's the jump through or fall through, and as well as the mirrored, so that we don't have to create separate animations for right and left. So we'll do, if we click on the group for arrow keys, hit S for a sub event, and we're gonna, I did see, I have already added it from the last video, but just to show you, I made a new folder, and this was input devices. I've got gamepad and keyboard. So what you do is if you double click here and you scroll down right here under input, you'll see gamepad and keyboard. I've already added them there, so they're not in there. So you would just double click and it adds it to your game. I just wanted to show you that real quick. So sub event, hit S, and we're going to go to, where is my input? Keyboard, on key pressed, and we're going to do the right arrow, and done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste these. So hit Control C, Control V, so that's going to be left arrow, up arrow, down arrow, and we're going to do a firing arrow key, right? Yes. Okay. So on right arrow press, we're just going to set player, and we're going to set the mirrored to not mirrored. So the player is going to just stay the way that it's facing. And I'll show you that in a second. Like if we run the project here. So when I'm going right, you can see that that white arrow is pointing right, but when I go left, it stays pointing right. Now, one way that I would have to do that is set up an animation for the left walk or left run, and then call that animation. But an easier way of doing that is if we just Control C, copy this, click on this condition down here, hit Control V, and we're going to set this to mirrored. Now, when we run it, it's going to automatically flip whatever. Oh, whoops, I got to change the arrow key. So if we double click on the condition, the key press will be left, done. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Now we'll go in. Now that flips. So whatever animation I have set for going in the right direction, it will automatically mirror it when I'm going left. That's all that does. So I wanted to get that set up. So that's right and left. Now on the up arrow key, that's going to be our jump. And this will give us more control for things later on, but we're going to do player, and down under the platform, we're going to simulate control. And I know exactly where that is because I've done this a few times from the previous video that didn't record the audio. So that's going to simulate the jump. And then we're going to change this to the down arrow key. And for this one, it's actually just, it's not a simulate, there's an actual action for it. So player, come down here to our platform and fall through. This will let them fall through the platform. So if we run this and jump and wait for that platform to come down, so we get onto it. Now if I wanted to get down, I just hit down and I can drop back down. So that's all that the fall through does. Now this is going to be for our firing, which is going to be F, and I'm going to hit OK and done. Now if I go back to my layout, you can't see it here. Let me zoom in here. You can see this here. I've set this up to be my bullet for right now, and I gave it the behavior of bullet and just left that alone. And so I've created that as a sprite. So I'm going to go back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I also, under player, I apologize if this is moving quick. Because I've already done this video once. So under the image points, which is right here, you can create a new image point by just hitting plus, and then I called it bullet. So if I click on that, you can see right here there's a little square there, and that's the image point. So that's going to be referencing to where it's going to create the bullet coming from, and it's got a number of 1 and a name of bullet. So let's add an action on, so with keyboard on F pressed, we're going to player spawn another object. I don't have that memorized yet. Spawn another object, and we're going to spawn under player, we're going to spawn the bullet. On the player layer, if you just hit the quotes, it'll bring up a list of the layers. So we'll do the player layer. An image point, now I could do this two ways. I can either do quotes and I can type in bullet for what we called it, and that would work just fine, as you can see there. Or if I know the number of the instance, I can just hit 1 and that'll work as well. That way you don't have to type it out. You just hit the number. So that's the arrow keys. Now, if I run this, here I go, I can jump, I can move. If I hit F, I'm firing my bullets, da-di-da-di-da. So as you can see, hit my spikes. Obviously it's not doing any damage yet. And I can still fall through. There we go. That's the arrow keys. So next, let's work on the WASD. So we'll add a new group, and we'll call this WASD for those controls. And we're just going to set it in up here. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to follow that same order of things. So click on WASD, hit S for a sub event. And again, we're going to be going into input devices on keyboard press. On key pressed. So we started with right, so we'll start with D on D. Okay, done. Again, you know what? I am going to just copy and paste, so that'll be DA jump W S fall through, and then a different one for fire. So let's change those real quick. So D, if we double click here, we'll change D to A. And that's going to be for left, and then change that to W for jump, and change that to S for the fall through, and we're going to make spacebar the fire, and done. Now we are going to have to set the simulate. So for D, we're going to do action, player. We're going to come down to our platform here, and we're going to do the simulate control, and D is right, so we're going to simulate right. And we're also going to set the not mirrored. So for here, we're just going to take it from here. So if we hit Control C, click back up on this condition and hit Control V, it puts it in there for us. So let's copy those. So I just click on that, hit Control, and then click on the next one. Copy those. We're going to paste those under A for moving left. However, we're going to change, double click here and change the right to left, hit done, and then this time we're going to change the not mirrored to mirrored, and we're done. Now for W, we're going to be simulating again. So actually we can just simulate the jump down here, Control C, and it simulates the jump, and same thing for the fall through. So click on the S, and player will fall through, and then the same thing for the bullet. Control C, click here, Control V. So that should in theory work now. Let's just test it out using the WASD. So, oh, you're right. I did the same thing in the last video. For the WASD, you can't do on pressed. So let's double click here on the condition. We're going to hit back, and you have to do is key is down. Otherwise, you have to press it every time to move, right? And they're only going to move that little bit every time. So on key is down, while they're holding it down, that was the D key, then it's going to simulate that. So key pressed, go back, key is down. Can't believe I did the same thing again. A, okay, done. Now for W and S, it's fine because they're just going to hit jump, right? Just going to tap just like they would if they were using the arrow keys. So let's go back and run that. Now that should work. Let's do, so yep, there we go. WASD, space is firing, and we jump up and we fall through. So we're good. Sorry, I'm moving through this pretty quickly. Let's just, sorry, I needed a sip of coffee there, and I didn't want you to have to hear that. So that takes care of that. Now we're going to do the Gamepad, and we're going to add a new group. I'm going to call this Gamepad. And this is actually where I ran into quite a bit of confusion for myself. with the gamepad controls. I just got confused with the whole y-axis, x-axis on the analog stick. So go figure. Now this will go much smoother though. So in order to make sure that I don't mess this all up again and make this even longer, I'm just going to look off of the previous for what I did, but I'll explain it. So click on Gamepad, S for the sub event. And this time, input devices, we're going to go to Gamepad, and we're going to do compare axis. So click on axis. Gamepad 0. So if you had you wanted the ability for 4 players, and you were going to have 4 people hooked up with different gamepads, you would number them. So 0 is player 1. Then you would give the next one 1 for the second gamepad, so on and so forth. So it'll always stay 0 for this because there's only going to be 1. And we're going to select right analog axis. X-axis is less than 0. Wait. Yes, is less than 0. Now, for this, we need to add a subcondition. We're going to actually add 2 subconditions. So if we click on the condition itself, not the full thing, just the condition, hit C, and we'll go back into Input Devices, Gamepad, Compare Axis, 0 again for Gamepad. On this one, it's going to be right analog X-axis, and it's going to be less than, and we're going to do minus gamepad dot axis and set that to 0, 0. That should be right. Right analog x-axis. Yes. Now we'll do another subcondition. So hit C again. Input devices, gamepad, compare axis, again 0. This one is going to be again right analog x-axis is greater than, and again this time we're not going to do the minus, we're just going to do gamepad dot axis 0, 0. All right, now we're going to set player, so the action is going to be player, and we have to simulate, right, because this isn't a built-in control, so simulate pressing right. And we want to set the player to not mirrored. So we could have just copied and pasted again, but I didn't think about that on the first one. So now we're just going to we're going to copy this and we'll paste it. And so for the second one now, it's going to be, we need to double click into here. So this time, instead of right analog, we're going to be doing left analog x-axis. And we're going to follow the same suit. So it's going to be less than 0. And then, hold on, it just makes it easier for me to see this here. And then left analog x-axis less than, yep, and is greater than, okay, and this time we're going to set this to mirrored and set this to left. So now what these other 2 conditions do is it's going to I don't think this is, no, this needs to be, sorry, right analog, why did I, right analog y-axis, because we're canceling out the analog stick going up or down. I believe that should be the way that it is. And this needs to be left Y, and this needs to be left Y. I hope I'm not screwing this up again. Set to mirrored going left. Okay. And then, so now we'll just go back up to Gamepad. We're going to do sub condition. This is going to be for the jump. So input devices, Gamepad, on button pressed. We're going to do A. And for this one, we're going to simulate player, simulate control, jump. Done. And we need to do the firing. So S. Input devices, Gamepad, on button pressed. And this time we're going to do the right shoulder trigger, not button, for the firing. Yep, and I'm just going to copy and paste this in here. Move this back as we should be good now. All right, fingers crossed. This worked. I'm going to grab my Gamepad here. Yes, yeah. No, it's not working for going right. It is working for jump. And it's not working for... Oh, because I hit the wrong one. Okay, so I hit left. I meant to do right. Right shoulder trigger. Fix that real quick. So, let's go back up here. Right analog, hold on. Okay, I did mess that up again. All right, let me fix this. Oops, not that. It's just going to be a matter of changing these conditions around a little bit. Okay, it's just easier for me to see it this way. So, on moving right, so pressing right, we want, going right, okay, we want the left analog at x-axis to be greater than 0. Okay, left analog greater than 0, and then we need to set this to left y. Left y is less than, I'm going to take that out, and then left analog y is greater than minus. Okay, so that'll fix that one for moving right. Now, going left, so it should be, I had the wrong analog. So left axis is less than, yeah. So left analog y axis, less than minus, yep. Left analog y axis greater than Gamepad, yep. A pressed, and I didn't put in here for the fall through, so let's do that real quick too. Sub event, input devices, Gamepad, on button pressed, we'll do X. And that's where we're going to player simulate. Oh, no, sorry. For the fall through, it's the fall through. And I'm just going to move it up for order. All right, let's try this. Fingers crossed this works now. Yes. Left, right, jump, fire, jump, fall through. Good. We're good to go. Okay. So those are the control setups. These extra 2 conditions, it's just canceling out so that nothing happens and doesn't get confused with if you were to use the analog joystick there to go up or down. It's canceling that out. It's keeping anything from happening with that. And that way it's just going right and left only. So we've got all that set up. Those are the controls. Again, I apologize if I moved through this a little bit quicker. It's just because I've already done this all over again. Please hit subscribe and like. Leave me any comments that you want. If there's anything that you want to see in the game, leave a comment with that. This is a learning process for me too, so I can look up how it's done and we can add it to the game if I can make it fit into the game. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.